I love going to tarot for advice, and one of the ways I do that is I ask advice from the cards themselves. In this video, I'll show you how I ask the majors for advice and see how they can help us get through life's little and big trials. When I do this type of reading where I turn to a card or multiple cards for advice, the first thing I do is think about who I should be going to. Who's the best person to get advice from? So for example, I have this tarot reader side hustle, and I also have a day job. So I might be running into some issues around balance. So who could I go to around balancing all the things I want to get done in a day? I might ask temperance, I might ask strength, and I might ask justice. These three might have some very interesting things to tell me about keeping my life in balance and where I'm spending my time. Now, in that same instance, if I am curious about how to really push forward my side hustle, then I would ask possibly, where are you? I would ask the Emperor. I think he would probably have really solid advice for me about this side hustle. I'd probably bring in the Magician to get some advice about what I can do. And frankly, I think the High Priestess would be excellent at helping me with this and how to move forward and grow this side hustle of mine. If I am working on wanting to be more creative, I would probably ask the Empress and the Fool. And I'd probably bring the Magician back in, and I would ask them for advice. If I want to be more creative, I actually might also ask Death, because Death is about that cycle of creation and destruction, right? So these four might be an excellent council of mentors for me. I would honestly say if I want to be more creative, I would not turn to the Emperor. I think he's really focused on structure and moving forward. I would probably not turn to the Chariot. Honestly, these two cards just feel very striving, very ambitious to me. And for me personally, in my creative life, my ambition gets in the way of my creativity. It makes me think too much about pleasing other people. So I would not turn to them for advice. If I'm struggling with grief, maybe over the loss of a relationship or a pet or a loved one, I might ask the Tower for advice. I might ask Death for advice. I might ask the Moon for advice. I think these three would have a lot of perspective around those feelings. I feel like the Tower would have a lot of advice for me about how to handle this personal Tower moment. I think the Tower would just not be very emotional about it. I think Death would remind me of phases of life, and the Moon could approach just really honestly about those feelings of grief. I might also turn to Strength to see how I can kind of persevere through this and what well of strength I can tap into. When I do readings like this, I like to actually lay the cards out as spread positions, but you don't have to. You could just say, like, I'm looking for advice from the Fool right now. But let's do an example. I'm going to go back to that question I thought of earlier about my side hustle as a tarot reader. I really do want to expand this area of my life, and so I think I'm just going to ask these four cards for their advice. I chose Death because I'm going to have to let some things go. And I'm already noticing some issues for myself with visibility or with, even telling people that I do this. I know that may be surprising to hear since I'm recording a YouTube video right now, but it's really kind of hitting upon some shadow for me. So I'm going to ask Death for advice specifically around what I need to let go of. I'm also going to ask the Tower for advice because some things are really going to have to change in my life if I'm going to try to expand this side hustle. I'm going to ask the Empress for advice because I think she is deeply creative and also very sovereign. So I think she may end up having some advice for me to help keep me in balance as well as, this striving I'm trying to do, I think she'll have some really good, balanced, loving advice for me. And the Fool is here because it's, taking a big risk. It's taking a leap. So what would the Fool say for me in this moment in my life? Doing this style of reading, you can use the same deck. You just, take out these 4 cards and then you use the rest of the deck to draw cards on these spread positions. Or you can also use a separate deck. I kind of like that idea because wouldn't it be funny to get the Fool and then draw the Fool? I just like the options that has to offer, but you do not need 2 decks to do this. And for this example, I'm just going to use this single one. This is the Morgan-Greer. I've laid out my cards that I'm asking for advice from as spread positions. I have shuffled the rest of the majors back into my deck. And now I'm going to draw cards for the reading. And we'll start over here with Death. And you can ask just very generally, can I get some advice about this situation from you? And I do apologize for the glare. I tried to fix it while I was shuffling and it just is what it is. So sorry about that. So you can either ask just for general advice from each of these cards, or you can ask for specific advice, like asking Death, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to change? Empress, where can I grow? The Fool, what chances have I been missing? What could I take? So you could ask very specific questions or just ask each of them for their advice in this situation. And I think I will do just the general advice on this one. I know the situation. I'm trying to grow my, tarot reader side hustle and asking them what to do. And then I need to remember when I read these cards, I'm reading from their point of view. What would they say? So Death. Oh, let me get this. I might just need to cover over it. So Death is saying Knight of Pentacles. Advice for me in this situation is to remember to take my time, that I'm not going through and I'm not slashing and burning in order to grow this business. I'm deliberate, I'm aligned, I'm discerning. And along that trail of discernment and alignment, I am going to have to let things go, but that will let things grow as well. The Tower's advice for me is the 2 of Cups. So I read the 2 of Cups from the point of view of the Tower. What would the Tower say? Essentially, if the Tower was doing a tarot reading, what would it say about the 2 of Cups? This is a rough one for me. I'm a real Queen of Cups person, in my life. And the idea of letting go, destroying, tearing down, something that has to do with relationships, and especially in this realm of wanting to build a business, a larger business around reading tarot, to let go of relationships seems very confronting to me. But the Tower is nothing if not confronting. So I need to look into the relationships I have maybe online. I need to look into the relationships in real life and consider what needs to change. Is there something that I'm doing around relationships, even within readings, that is causing me some trouble around growth in this situation? The Tower might be asking me to give up on something right now, and maybe giving up on, for example, like face-to-face readings. You see, they're obviously together, and maybe I just need to give up on that right now while I try to grow online, for example. Let's see what the Empress has to say. Her advice is Page of Rods, which is Wands. I actually love to see Wands in the Empress's advice, because I do think she's an extremely creative card. She's asking me to return to a sense of discovery and newness and beginner around my creativity, around my authenticity. Who am I online and in person? Who am I as a tarot reader? Who am I as a creative person? Return to that and let that be a guide for me. She wants me to get to that spark, that initial spark, and help me to follow it. And let's see what the Fool has to say. Queen of Swords. The Fool says the chances I'm going to have to take have to do with the Queen of Swords. I'm going to need to put down some boundaries. I'm going to need to take some chances and pull up my inner Queen of Swords more than I normally do if I'm going to be successful at this. I'm going to try to grow a business here. And Queen of Swords can help me do that. So the risk I'm going to take is going to be related to the Queen of Swords. With a reading like this, I could also pull more cards. I don't need to just pull one. I could ask the Tower for 2 pieces of advice. I could ask for some clarification. I also don't need to ask 4 majors for advice. I ask however many it seems appropriate to ask for the situation I'm in or the advice I need. The main key to this style of reading is that you choose appropriate majors for your spread positions. Majors that will help give you good advice, might push you a little bit, might challenge you a little bit. You might pull cards that will nurture you in that situation. And then when you do your reading, you interpret the cards you pull from the point of view of that major. That's the key. That's what's going to help you get out of your kind of stuck situation. That's what's going to help you think creatively about what's going on in your life. Putting yourself in the position of the major when you read these cards instead of your own self, that bypasses your ego. That can bypass your logic that you're spinning around in. It can get you outside of the tunnel vision you have about the situation. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to know if you give this style of reading a try or if you already do it. Like if you liked the video, subscribe for more tarot content, and thanks for stopping by.